Hello and welcome to Historical Costuming 391. It occurred to me as we start work on our chemise for our basic peasant outfit to go to a Ren Faire in that I might want to give you a little more background on what to expect. Also, I wanted to discuss the Ren Faire phenomenon. I'm using the colloquial term Ren Faire, properly known as a Renaissance fair. It got its beginnings in the 1960s in California. Ron and Phyllis Patterson were the two people behind it. They didn't intend to start a nationwide movement, but that's what happened. She was teaching a class in 1963, and as a class activity, she organized what would have been basically an English market fair set during the reign of Elizabeth I. It caught on, over 3,000 people attended, and by 1966, they had moved to the Paramount Ranch in Agoura, California. I started attending in the 70s, and they had the good fortune of being able to draw from the Hollywood talent pool. Costuming was brilliant. They had all kinds of people. Reduced Shakespeare Company got their start there, among others. Wonderful musicians, lutists, harpists, people that you normally would not see at an open-air fair. Today, there are over 200 fairs across the U.S. and Canada. I think they're also in Australia and Germany too. And most are held in the summer. So that is a big influence on what this young lady is wearing. She actually is a model of me. It was made for a tailoring class I was taking decades ago. And you can, if you get on the internet, find instructions. If you look under duct tape dummy, there will be several videos there how to actually make one. I'm not going to go into it. It's a bit of a process. Ideally, you want two people to help you, at least one other person. There are a lot of variations on it. You can do better than this, which is just post office tape. Anyhow, enough of that. Let's get into what she's got on. Everything with the exception of the bodice, which I actually made for an 18th century event, so it's not period correct for the Renaissance. Everything else is from thrift stores. The hat, you'll want, whether you're doing something period accurate or not, and the hat is pretty accurate for the time period. You can find these generally for a few dollars. It's got two purposes. It provides shade. It also will keep you from sunburning your chest, because if you're at a Renaissance fair all day, you don't realize how much time you're going to spend out in the sun. You can get quite a sunburn. One of the ladies in my side saddle group, when we did the Indy 500 parade, had on a low-cut bodice and was beet red by the time we were done. So do wear a hat. Less period correct, but it'll still get you by, is this peasant blouse. It's a poly cotton blend, so it's not going to absorb a lot of perspiration. But again, I don't remember if I got it at a yard sale or a thrift store. It's not something I made, but it's one of those get you by kind of things. A lot of times you'll see women wearing a belt, sometimes with a pouch, a purse, or a cup, a mug hanging off the belt. They unfortunately, in the actual 16th century, did not wear belts. Women didn't. If they did, it was narrow and it was fabric. Men wore about a 1-inch wide leather belt. Women did not wear leather belts. Having said that, she's got on a comfortable cotton skirt. This is going to be cool. It'll help wick the perspiration off your legs. Again, it's not really appropriate to the period. It wouldn't have had the gathered flounce at the bottom. Another thrift store finds something you really can't hurt. On the bodice, it's got a low-cut neckline that's just about appropriate, but it's not square cut, and that is the problem. If you look at the time period, the signature for Elizabethan women's clothing is the square cut bodice. However, it does at least have what were called wings, which would have hid the lacing strip. Sleeves could be taken off and on depending on what you're doing, comfort, the weather, and you would hide the strip where they laced with what were called wings, sometimes shaped like this, sometimes a little more square. What is not correct, maybe a little hard to see, there are metal eyelets in this, which at the time, and also there's boning down the front, that I needed. The metal eyelets I meant to cover up with buttonhole stitch, never got around to it, but they're inconspicuous enough that with the lacing in it, you don't really see it. The lacing is actually a shoelace off a boot. What you don't want to use are actual grommets, but you will see them quite often at Renaissance fairs, usually in brass, quite bold and flashy, but completely incorrect. And of course, this is off a tarp. Having said that, let's look at footwear very quickly. Now, if you can luck into something like this, which was probably, this pair I think came from a theatrical supply company. They have the slits cut the way they would have been during the time period. You would probably have to special order these online. It's not the kind of thing you can find at a yard sale or thrift store. What you may be able to find, however, are what are called earth shoes. These are very comfortable if you're going to be on your feet all day. I highly recommend them. Or the little canvas, what are called Mary Janes. You can get those for like under $20. Or again, these I found at the thrift store. What you want to look for is the round or squared toed, which was quite typical of the period. You don't see the pointed toed shoes. That was something that was quite predominant in the Middle Ages, and one of the abrupt changes in fashion that came with the 16th century and Tudor clothing, among other things, was the square toe rather than pointed. Having said that, basically, if you don't want to go to the extent of making a full outfit, we're going to at least make the chemise and the bodice. You'll need those two items. The skirt I will leave up to you. But in the meantime, if you want to do a bit of thrifting, do look for a wide brim straw hat like this. You can either pin it in your hair if you have longer hair, or this again is an old shoelace. You can tie it under your chin. But that and a comfortable pair of shoes, top to bottom, will be taken care of. You'll be set. We just have this to work on. So we'll start with the chemise next, and I'll show you how to sit the square gusset. Hope to see you soon. Hope this helps.